How is it going, everyone? I am here to go over some more updates and news and mechanics over what has quickly become one of the most anticipated games of the year, a game that has been doing an absolute masterclass in terms of a launch campaign building up to the release of the game, and that is Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert has had 2 feature overview videos up. Will Powers has been doing lengthy interviews with a lot of outlets. We're talking 1-hour interviews going in depth on a lot of mechanics of the game, and I want to talk about some of the specifics that he mentioned in an interview, and we'll get to all of that. However, before I get into this video, I do want to note that if you do want to pick up the game for yourself on PC and Steam, our friends over at Greenman Gaming do have the game discounted. You can get it 15% off for $59.49. All you have to do is use the code FEB15, that's FEB15. You'll save 15%, you won't pay tax either, you'll get a Steam code, and you'll be good to go. And you can get the standard edition, or you can get the deluxe edition, which is $10 more expensive. You'll save 15%, of course. Use the code FEB15, link in the description box below, and if you do pick it up, we get an affiliate kickback, which is much appreciated. But as I mentioned, a phenomenal launch campaign for Crimson Desert, as we are about 5 weeks away from the release of the game. We still have one more features overview video that is going to drop, but we have 2 out of 3 of those. And again, Will Powers has been doing a significant amount of interviews, a lot of them obviously retreading the same information. However, a lot of interesting nuggets, and different people watch different interviews. Destin Laguerre had a 1-hour interview with Will Powers talking about a lot of the specifics, and I do want to highlight about some of the elements. As far as this game is concerned, a big open world action RPG, and maybe you want to not use the term RPG because Powers actually noted that the team themselves aren't calling this game an RPG, and I'll talk about that. I think most people will perceive it to be an RPG, but again, more on that in a little bit. The team is currently refusing to give just a sheer campaign length because of how big the game's open world is, and if you don't know, Powers also did link this game to remind him a little bit of Elden Ring, not in mechanics and entire gameplay fundamentals, however, in the sense that if you played Elden Ring, you know as an open world title, that is a game that you can easily miss content in. It's a game that you can get to the end of the game and you can miss a significant portion of that game, and Crimson Desert, to an extent, is similar. Now, to me, that worries me a little bit because I thought Elden Ring was a little bit crazy with it, in the sense that you kind of needed to have a guide open if you wanted to do a significant portion of the content, get a significant amount of the equipment, and I get it, that's kind of the appeal of Elden Ring, getting absolutely lost and immersed in that world, but, you know, there's a balancing act, I feel. I am down to get lost and immersed into a world. Elden Ring, I thought, for a lot of the content, it just totally left you to your own devices, which maybe some people will appreciate, but in that sense, Crimson Desert does have a set narrative. It does have a start point and an end point, but there is going to be a lot of optional content, and then also, by the time you get to the end of the game, how it was structured by Powers is that when he got to the end of the game, especially because he knew about content that was in the game and he realized, oh, I made it to the end of the game, however, I didn't do this content or that content, and then he went back and then he found that content and did it. To me, that explains to me, okay, there's gonna be content that is gonna be significant, that isn't going to be sheer missable content. That was my issue with Elden Ring, and it's really not an issue, it's just so much of the stuff you can outright miss in a playthrough. I am totally fine with the game ending and then you being able to go explore the world. I like that structuring, but games can be structured in a wide variety of ways. There can be missable content, there can be content you could do post-game, but this is going to be one of those games that there are going to be people that rush through the main story and get to the end. However, is that getting the most mileage out of the game? No, and that's probably exponentially more true for a game like Crimson Desert, where there is so much depth to the game, where there are so many optional activities that if you take your time with it, this is going to be a lengthy experience. And I think just because of the wide variance of what the playtime for individuals can be, yeah, I can understand not wanting to give a campaign length, because how do you really quantify the campaign length of a game like Elden Ring as well? Elden Ring's one of those games that some people can finish it very quickly, and other people can literally spend 150 hours in that game if they're looking through absolutely everything. and they get lost and so on and so forth, so that playtime is going to vary wildly. And again, the emphasis is that the main story is only a small fraction of the total amount of content that is available. And I wouldn't really say that it seemed like, based on verbiage, it's an idea of the game is totally opening up after the post-game. Rather, there's so much content to do that you're naturally just gonna miss some stuff, and after you beat the game, there's still gonna be stuff that you're gonna be able to do. And again, Powers knew of content that was in the game and missed areas while focusing on different areas, so you can go back and do that. And then he also made mentions of customization options and other content to invest a lot of time in outside of just the main story. They wanted to create an open world you want to get lost in, and again, this is coming from Pearl Abyss at the end of the day. That's what they know, creating significant worlds that you can invest a lot of time into. There are things like hidden walls, secret dungeons, that if you want to spend time, they're going to be rewarding for those of you that want to go and explore everything. Many secrets are also hidden in plain sight, even around major areas, and things hidden in plain sight, that is very reminiscent to me of Elden Ring. Those damn hidden walls and whatnot, so we'll see how that's gonna turn out. Also, remember that Crimson Desert is this ambitious open world, and it is running on this new engine, that's been created for open world gaming. And I think this is gonna be an incredible case study on how good open world games can really be on these consoles we're on right now, on the PlayStation 5, on Xbox, and on PCs as well. How well can they be optimized, and how much can we free them of bugs and glitches with this engine that they've created? We all know that gigantic games like this are going to have their bugs and glitches. That doesn't really worry me, and what was noted is that it's not about there being some bugs and glitches. It's about, are there enough bugs and glitches to break immersion? That's what they don't want to do, and that's what we've had with a lot of open world games and a lot of buggy open world games, and just buggy games in general, is that they're breaking immersion. It's fine if there's a bug or two in there, especially when a game is as ambitious. I think most players are going to be very, very okay with that. It's not the end of the world, and even if a game does break immersion, for a lot of people, it's funny. They literally find humor in the Bethesda open world games. However, that's not something I would imagine developers wanted to go through, where there's a sense of humor that comes out of the bugs and glitches. Rather, yes, bugs and glitches are gonna happen, but you would want it to be at a level where it doesn't break immersion and you can focus on the game. They learned a variety of lessons from the MMO Black Desert, and that's probably going to parlay into a lot of aspects of this game as well. And as far as updates go, given that BDO has had weekly updates, you could imagine that Crimson Desert will have some sort of support in that level, post-launch support. They're being fairly coy about that, but given the success and the potential success of this game, especially from a commercial level, I would imagine that's something that they're very much going to consider. And I spoke a little bit earlier about how they're not considering this an RPG. Well, that is tied to the element of choice. Choice is a key component of the game, but for an RPG, maybe you consider choice to be a driving element for the narrative flow of the game and consequential to how the story unravels, and that's why they're not going with the terminology of RPG, because of that element, and that's because the overall plot is set. However, I think most people would agree that at this stage of the game, that's not how most people define RPGs. Like, there are a lot of games that the overall plot is set, but there are the choices where I think people care about, where that defines an RPG for them. You're talking about character progression and your play style. What content are you doing? Updating specific skills and upgrading skills, relationships with alliances and reputations. There's a lot of choice in the game that, yes, maybe if the core narrative doesn't have a lot of differential pathways, that's still, to me, very much a role-playing game. Especially in the context of the RPGs that are coming out today, I still think that very much fits in line with the expectations. And again, I want to wrap this video. There hasn't been a lot of talk about the post-launch announcements, but it was noted Pearl Abyss historically supports their games long-term. I'm sure that at this point, it's about promoting the game. They've still got a feature video to come out. They're still in the optimization phase of Crimson Desert at this point. Hopefully, the PlayStation 5 Pro optimizations will be outlined. Specific system requirements will be outlined as well, so we get the full breakdown, because I think there's a lot of concern. Potential Steam Deck optimization, because as noted, if you look in the minimum system requirements, hey, this is a game that looks like it would fall in line to being able to be ran on the Steam Deck. So there's still some bridges they gotta cross, but after that, I think they will will be more transparent and after, you know, the game actually comes out. But given Prolibis's track record with supporting games long term, I would imagine that Crimson Desert is going to go that route as well. As I mentioned, the game is in its final optimization stage, so in the coming weeks, we should be getting complete transparency and clarity as far as just how this game will run on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series performance modes, full system requirements, because this is a game that I really do feel like it would behoove them to have the 4 to 6 tiers of system requirements so we can have a real good idea of how we're going to be able to run this game on a variety of machines, and maybe we'll get some insight at the State of Play event that's happening in just a couple of short days, given that PSSR upgrade, the AI upscaling, that has been rumored to be dropping here shortly, and what better game to showcase that than Crimson Desert? That would be on PlayStation 5 Pro, and would honestly explain why they have been relatively coy about PS5 Pro upgrades and things of that nature. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, sound off there. It's been incredible to see the anticipation and the hype of this game go into overdrive over the last few weeks. I've said it before, but my gauge on how big a game is coming in my personal life is a lot of the times where I have a lot of friends that are very much the casuals, where they don't follow the ins and outs of gaming by a week-by-week basis, and when I start getting messages of, hey, have you heard about X game? What do you think about X game? And when that happens to a game, I'm like, okay, this game is now hitting the more casual audience, and that has absolutely happened with Crimson Desert, and I think that'll only continue to grow as we get closer to March 19th, because we're still a ways away from the release, in the sense that the momentum of the game really picks up the week of release. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.